Hi everyone, it's Lindsay from Fresh Start Tuition. I wanted to have a chat about setting up a space for your young person to study. We are already through the first term of school. We have 2 more terms to finish this year, which seems like it's really far away. But for a lot of students, they have exams coming up, which means that actually they've only got 1 more term of school as normal, and then they will go into revision. They might have studied leave. They might have exams starting as early as the 3rd of May for some people, and then that will continue right the way through until the middle of June. So this is quite a stressful year for some students, particularly if you're doing GCSEs or A levels. You've got a lot of pressure and you have a lot of work to do. So one of the things that can make life a little bit easier is to create a study space which is specific to them or specific to several people if you have several young people in the house studying at once. This should be something that you do together. So I thought that over the holidays, you've got lots of things going on, but we've got that kind of dead window in between Christmas and New Year where a lot of people don't really know what they're doing, or they're not really sure, and everyone's just kind of nursing the turkey dinner and trying not to eat so much that they explode. So setting up a space while everybody's there is a good idea, I think. The space needs to be decided between you and the young person rather than just you saying, yep, it's got to be here, or them saying it's got to be here. There needs to be some sort of a discussion and agreement about it, because this is going to be a permanent fixture in your home for a while. For some people, they like it in their own bedroom. They like it out of the way, and that's where they study. And for others, having a separate room that they go to work and then being able to go to their bedroom to chill out suits them much better. So you need to think about your own family habits and what suits each person best. There are advantages to having it in a shared space. You can actually see whether they're working, which is useful, particularly if you have someone who says, yeah, I'm working, but you don't actually see it or see evidence of it that much. So it can be a great way of checking in. But it's also really useful if you have someone who is anxious about their studies, because having someone there that they can kind of fire ideas off of, or that they can say, hey, can you quiz me on this for a second, that can really help. So you might find that for particular people, having it in the corner of a dining room, for example, or a little nook in your living room might be an option. Is much more social for them and stops them from getting so anxious studying by themselves. This space doesn't have to have any specific items in it. It does not have to have a fancy desk. It does not have to have a super duper wonderful chair. It does not have to have the latest computer. If you choose to have all of those things, that's absolutely fine. But it needs to work with whatever your family can function with, what is going to suit into your lives, what you can afford, and what you are comfortable with. So for some people, having just a small desk is absolutely fine, and they like to work on that. And for other people like me, I like the giantest desk I can find, and mine actually has extending ends so that I can go even further out if I need to do an experiment. So everybody's different. I have some students who like a proper desk chair, and I have some students who will use a dining room chair, and I have some students who sit on a gym ball and roll around a little, which helps keep their proprioception active and means that they don't feel so stuck. I have a student who sits on one of those beanbag chair things. They can sit in whatever position they're comfortable with, and the desk is just a little bit lower so that it's comfortable for them. So figure out what works for you and your family. The young person who is going to be studying at this needs to feel like this is a space that will work for them. So think about that and have a talk to them about, what do you like to sit in, what do you like to work at, do you want everything tidy and organised, do you like everything sitting on the desk, your pens, your pencils, your paper, or do you want maybe some drawers underneath that you can tuck everything out of the way? And then once you know those things, go about trying to find them. It might be you can repurpose something from another part of your house that hasn't been used as much. It might be that you have something tucked in the garage, or that Granny has something that you can use, which means it's not going to cost a lot of money. And there are lots of options on somewhere like Facebook Marketplace or Gumtree where you can pick something up secondhand without it being a fortune. And what you might want to consider is making it part of their Christmas gift. Somewhere that is specific to them, that is set out the way they like, can show them that you do want them to take care of their learning, and that you're willing to take care of them while they do it. So that's really important. Coming up to the exams is stressful. It's something that a lot of young people really struggle with. And we put a huge amount of pressure on them to do well. You're aiming for a minimum of 5 A stars to C's, but lots of parents will say, actually, really, we'd like 8, or we'd like 9, or we'd like 10. I have one parent who's hopeful a couple of years ago to have their child do 14 GCSEs, and actually had to say it doesn't fit in the schedule. There's not enough room for that. So you need to be realistic. But putting pressure on doesn't help at all the times. It's good to have expectations, and your working level that is coming from the school or coming from your tutors is very important, because that helps manage those expectations. But if you suddenly say, no, I want you to get all A's, but then don't support them in that, then it's not going to feel very good. So have a chat about what you're looking for, and then have a chat about how you can help them get there. Do they need a schedule of revision and homework and study? And can you help them plan that? And then get it printed and stick it up beside their new desk so that you're aware of what they're supposed to be doing, they're aware of what they're supposed to be doing, and you can work together to keep things on track. You can also look at mini quizzes, or doing some sort of activity where you ask them information from the things that they have learnt, and they maybe try to explain it to you, maybe draw something for you, maybe act it out depending on what it is, to make it a little bit more interactive and to help commit it to long-term memory. So our short-term memory for things is pretty good. Most people's brains are pretty good, but to convert it to long-term memory, we need to look at it again the next day. We need to look at it again the following week. We need to look at it again the following month. And then, if we understand it at each of those points, will our brain go, oh, yep, I'm going to store that. Otherwise, our brain goes, you've got this new information and you gave me this stuff last week and I don't really need it, so I'm just going to get rid of it. And very often, when we learn something, we don't actually learn it until we have gone back over it and gone back over it. So it doesn't have to be hours and hours of your time. It's 5 or 10 minutes on a subject, but at regular intervals for all of the subjects that they're studying. Particularly with the new syllabus that came in 2016 for all exam boards, the exams are proving to be more difficult, and they are proving to have a lot more content in them than the previous ones, which means that the amount of time that we spend teaching it is often not enough to finish the course for several different subjects. Particularly science, there's about 60 hours missing from the timetable in a lot of schools where they just do not have any more time to allocate, and that is why students have got so much homework, because that is the only way they will get through the material. So as a parent or a guardian, you can help your child to remember this material by checking that it's actually going in. Do you understand this? Can you recite it back? I looked at the evolution of the atmosphere with a student last week, and they're able to tell me all of the steps, but they're not yet able to tell me in which order the steps come, which will come with practice. So we looked at it again this week, only for a couple of minutes, and I will probably ask them again next week or the week after to make sure that that knowledge is now there, because the order that particular things happened is really important for this topic. There are certain steps that can only happen once oxygen was in the atmosphere, but if you start telling me about that first, it's not going to make any sense because we didn't have oxygen in our early atmosphere. Okay, so the order of things is really important, and when you are quizzing them on something, it's one of the things that you need to kind of nitpick about a little. Some students like to make flashcards, and if you're not particularly confident about your knowledge, that's absolutely fine. You can read the flashcard and then get them to tell you back the most important facts, or you could give them a keyword from the flashcard and they then have to tell you what thing is associated with that keyword, or ask them for the equation that is written on the card and see if they get it correct. As a parent or a guardian, you don't actually need to understand it to be able to quiz them. I know that sounds a bit weird, but you are still helping them to learn by doing that. For some students, they are able to work completely independently, and that is great if they can do that, but very often they do need help. So make a study space that suits you, make a schedule that suits your family and everybody's commitments, and then try to work within that. If you can commit a little bit of time to quiz them on something, then that's absolutely great, and if they feel they need it as often as you can would be wonderful. If they feel they're completely independent, they don't want any help, that's okay too, as long as you're checking in regularly to make sure that that's still the case and that they don't feel like they're struggling by themselves. I would say that Christmas should be a bit of a break. You don't need to be whizzing around doing lots and lots and lots of study unless you have a specific reason for it after Christmas. So I have some students who are taking mock exams in school in January rather than having just done them in December. So they're going to need to do some study over Christmas. But I've advised some days of complete breaks and then other days where you do a bit of study and try to find a balance that suits them. We also have students who are taking entrance exams for private schools in January, and we have students who are taking exams for GCSEs, mainly for home educated boards. So they will need to keep going over Christmas as well. So, happy Christmas. I hope you have a really nice Christmas, that you spend time with the people that matter to you, and that you enjoy your family and enjoy your friends and get ready for a new year.